Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission today is, well, it's like searching for an economic cheat code. How can a country actually industrialize quickly, efficiently, in today's world?
Right, and we're not just talking theory, we're diving deep.
Yeah, deep into the rawest data we could find. Trade stats, industrial plans, even historical blueprints. We want to find that actionable path.
Exactly. We're setting the context with Africa's overall trade landscape, really focusing in on Cameroon and looking at this huge opportunity with the AFCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area. And crucially, we're comparing all this modern stuff to, well, a really successful historical model, Turkey's first 5-year industrial plan from the 1930s.
Okay, so our sources. We've got trade data, 2013 right up to 2023 for everything, all products.
Yeah.
Then we zeroed in on two really critical groups, plastics, that's HS code 39.
Right.
And what we're calling cleaning products, soaps, detergents, that kind of thing, HS code 34. Plus, we've got Cameroon's own strategic plans and the AFCFTA docs.
So quite a lot to work with. So if you zoom out first, look at the big picture for Africa. The scale of the challenge is, well, it's pretty stark.
Yeah.
The data for the whole Africa aggregation, all products, 2013 to 2023, it shows this really significant sustained trade dependency.
How big are we talking?
Well, to put a number on it, the current account deficit for the continent, aggregated, was negative $79.68 billion just in 2023.
Wow. Almost $80 billion in the red for 1 year. That basically means the continent's running up a massive tab, doesn't it?
It really points to a deep reliance on external sources.
So, okay, to understand where we might find some leverage, we need a simple tool. Let's talk about the import-export coverage ratio.
Good idea.
For you listening, it's straightforward. Just take the value of what a country exports, divide it by the value of its imports, you get a percentage. 100% meets your balance.
Right.
Anything less? Well, you're effectively borrowing or spending savings to pay for imports.
And applying that ratio to our focus sectors, plastics and cleaning products, for Africa as a whole in 2023, the dependency is just glaring.
Okay, give us a number.
For plastics, HS39, the coverage ratio is only 23.51%.
23%. So importing roughly 4 times what they export in plastic.
Exactly. It's a huge gap. For cleaning products, HS34, it's a bit better, 48.46%.
Almost 50%. Still, heavily reliant on imports for daily essentials like soap and detergent.
Definitely. Still importing more than they export.
Okay, let's zoom right in now. Cameroon, our main case study. What's their picture look like?
Cameroon's total trade deficit in 2023 was negative $3.3 billion. Still significant.
Right, and plastics, given the Africa-wide number.
Yeah, the plastics coverage ratio for Cameroon specifically is, well, it's extremely low, just 5.84% in 2023.
5.8%. That's almost total reliance, isn't it?
Yeah.
For something as basic as plastics.
It points to a near-complete dependency on external supply chains for these critical materials, packaging, pipes, everything.
Okay, this sounds like a uniformly bleak picture of import dependency.
It does, which is why the next number is so interesting.
Wait, hang on. You're saying if plastics are that catastrophically low, there's a twist.
There is. Look at Cameroon's cleaning products, HS34. That coverage ratio is incredibly high.
How high?
It peaked in 2023 at 342.14%.
342%?
Yeah.
So exports were over 3 times imports in that category. That seems completely out of step with everything else.
It is, and it tells us something vital.
Which is?
Well, 2 things, really. First, it shows that manufacturing capacity can be built locally, even for complex stuff like chemical formulation, and it can be sustained.
Okay.
Second, it highlights this existing successful core strength. And that strength, that's the leverage point. That's where you can build from.
Okay, let's talk leverage. We're trying to solve these huge deficits, kickstart heavy industry. And you're saying the starting point is essentially soap. Consumer staples. That sounds, I don't know, maybe a bit too simple. Or maybe not significant enough for the scale of the problem. Why cleaning products as the engine?
It's all about what we call the synergy motor concept. It's not really about the value of the soap itself.
Right.
It's about what the steady, high-volume demand for those everyday products forces other parts of the economy to do. It creates ripple effects.
How so?
You invest smartly in this one core sector, cleaning products, and because of its needs, it automatically starts pulling along maybe 4 or 5 other crucial sectors. It maximizes your limited capital.
Okay, so what are these ripple effects? What gets pulled along?
Well, there are several layers. First, think chemistry. To make good competitive cleaning stuff, you need specialized chemicals, surfactants, enzymes.
Right, the active ingredients.
Exactly. And increasingly, you need greener, sustainable chemicals. So this drives R&D investment right into the local chemical industry.
Okay, makes sense. What else?
Second, and this is really critical, plastics. Think about it. Every bottle of detergent, every container of bleach needs plastic packaging, usually HDPE or PE.
Ah, okay. So the demand for cleaning products creates a constant, reliable demand for plastic bottles.
Precisely. And that stable demand is the perfect trigger to start and scale up local plastic blow molding, that's for the bottles themselves, and plastic injection molding.
Injection molding for what?
For the caps, the spray triggers, the more complex little parts.
Got it. So cleaning products basically bootstrap a domestic plastics industry, which is exactly where Cameroon has that massive import deficit we saw earlier.
You've got it. It directly addresses that huge gap. And then that plastic production creates demand for the next layer.
Which is?
Machinery and automation. To make those bottles and caps efficiently, you need specialized high-precision molds.
Okay.
This requires local capacity and high-precision engineering, things like CNC machining. Plus, high-volume production needs automated filling lines, packaging lines, driving demand for maintenance, spare parts, specialized skills.
I see the chain reaction building.
And there's one more modern layer: recycling and the circular economy. This sector, cleaning products, is actually a global leader now in pushing for recycled content in its packaging.
Right, you see that on labels all the time now.
Yeah. So those corporate goals directly fuel the need for better waste management, advanced plastic sorting, and actual recycling infrastructure. It helps close the loop.
Okay, so let me recap this synergy motor. You start with cleaning products, a stable, everyday necessity. Your investment there doesn't just stay there. It naturally creates demand, and therefore investment incentive for plastics manufacturing, which then pulls in demand for high-precision machinery and automation.
Yep.
And finally, it helps build the recycling infrastructure needed for a circular economy. You've used one investment to trigger growth across 4 or 5 sectors, a kind of trickle-down incentive.
That's a good way to put it. You get a diverse industrial foundation from a very focused starting point. And what's really neat is how well this specific synergy model fits with Cameroon's own long-term plans. They have these big national strategies.
Like Vision 2035.
Exactly. Vision 2035, which is about becoming a developed economy. And then the more recent NDS 30 strategy. Both clearly state the need to diversify away from just relying on hydrocarbons like oil.
And what are the core goals there?
Reducing import dependency, especially for basic goods, is key. And maybe the most critical goal, creating decent jobs for their incredibly young population. Most Cameroonians are under 30. They need opportunities.
Okay, so the strategy aligns. But you can't just wish these industries into existence. You need skilled people, right?
Absolutely. Which brings us to this really interesting, very practical project designed for Cameroon, the Plastics and Cleaning Products School of Manufacturing.
A school, like a techno college.
Well, not quite like a traditional academic place. Think of it more as a production workshop focused entirely on practical, hands-on technical knowledge transfer.
How does that work?
The goal is to train actual industrial entrepreneurs. The students learn by actually making and selling real products, cleaning supplies, plastic containers.
So they learn by doing, literally.
Exactly. And the really innovative part is the financing. The plan is for the school to cover its own running costs through the sales of the very products the students make during their training.
Wow, okay. Self-sustaining training.
Yeah.
That's clever. What kind of stuff do they learn to make?
The curriculum's pretty detailed. It covers manufacturing for 11 different cleaning products. You know, surface cleaners, bleach, detergents, even things like cologne.
So decent range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And alongside that, 7 specific plastic manufacturing topics. Everything from basic waste sorting and recycling principles, right up to complex injection molding for those caps we mentioned, and blow molding for bigger containers, like 5 to 30-liter ones.
That sounds incredibly practical. Real industrial skills.
It's designed to be building that core competency.
And how does this local skill building fit into the bigger picture?
Well, it potentially puts Cameroon in a really strong position within this massive new thing, the ACFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Right, the Single Market Initiative.
Yeah, it's huge. It aims to create this unified market of, 1.4 billion people, a collective GDP of around $3.4 trillion.
That's enormous potential. How does this school connect?
Think about the market size just for these two product groups, plastics and cleaning supplies within the AFCFTA countries. In 2023, the total import market for just those was $30.14 billion.
$30 billion just for those items, just within Africa.
Yep. So by building up their workforce, their manufacturing base now, Cameroon gets positioned to really capitalize as tariffs come down and intra-African trade ramps up.
Which is expected to grow significantly, right?
Hugely. Some estimates predict intra-African exports could increase by over 80%. So this school project, it's basically about training the workforce needed to capture a slice of that multi-billion-dollar regional market.
Okay, this all sounds great. A solid strategy, a practical training plan, a huge potential market. But, history is full of ambitious state-led industrial plans that just didn't work out. Bad execution, lack of coordination.
That's a very fair point. Skepticism is warranted.
So where's the proof? Is there a historical case where this kind of focused, state-guided effort on core industries actually delivered?
There is, and it's a fascinating one. We need to look back at Turkey's first five-year industrial plan. This was implemented between 1934 and 1938.
The 1930s. Okay, what was the situation?
Well, the context is absolutely key. This was right after the 1929 global economic crash. Turkey, like many countries, had to fundamentally rethink its economic strategy. They shifted away from more liberal policies towards something they called devletçilik.
Devletçilik, what does that mean?
It translates roughly to statism, or maybe moderate state capitalism. The core idea was pretty pragmatic.
Which was it?
It was an acknowledgement that, look, national industrialization, building heavy industry, just couldn't be achieved by the private sector alone at that time. They felt it lacked the scale, the capital, the coordination. So planned state intervention was seen as necessary.
Okay, state-led, but focused, you said.
Extremely focused. The plan centered squarely on import substitution. They didn't try to do everything at once.
Right.
They prioritized sectors that needed huge investment and, crucially, could use domestic raw materials, specifically textiles, mining, cellulose for paper production, ceramics, and chemistry.
So foundational industries using local resources.
Exactly. Those were seen as the building blocks for longer-term economic independence.
And how did they actually execute this? Who ran the show? A big committee?
No, and this is critical. The execution was highly centralized and, by all accounts, very effective. It wasn't run by some sprawling bureaucracy. It was led by a single, powerful state entity called Summerbank.
Summerbank. Like a bank?
It was set up as a state bank, yes, but it functioned as much more. It became the center headquarters of the industrial movement, as they called it.
What did it actually do?
It managed the establishment of the new factories. It provided the necessary long-term financing, the credit. And, vitally, it was also responsible for training the skilled workers and the managers needed to actually run these new, complex industrial plants.
Wow. So finance, construction, and human resources all under one roof.
Pretty much. A very integrated approach.
Did it work? What were the results?
The results really speak for themselves. The plan is widely considered a major success. Out of 23 major factories planned, 19 were either started or fully completed by the 1938 deadline.
That's a pretty good hit rate. What about the economy overall?
Economically, the impact was clear. Turkey achieved a consistent trade surplus between 1930 and 1937, reversing years of deficits before the plan.
Okay, balancing the bucks.
And more than that, per capita GDP showed significant growth. It went from about $47.50 back in 1923, just after the Republic was founded, up to $89 by 1938.
That's nearly double in 15 years, with a big chunk of that growth happening during the plan years.
Right. It reflects really robust, sustained growth driven by this strategic industrial push. It shows what focused state planning can achieve. #tag outro.
Okay, so let's try and tie this all together. We started this deep dive looking at raw data, seeing these big import dependency numbers across Africa, particularly in plastics for Cameroon.
The scale of the challenge.
Then we explored this multi-sector synergy model.
Yeah.
The idea that starting with something seemingly simple like cleaning products can actually trigger growth in plastics, machinery, recycling, building a whole
The
foundation.
synergy motor concept, yeah.
And finally, we looked back at history, at Turkey in the 30s, and saw a real-world example where this exact kind of focused, state-led strategy on essential goods actually delivered rapid, measurable economic results.
And that common thread, I think, across the data, the strategy, and the history is that focus on human capital. It's essential.
Right. The Turkish plan wasn't just about building factories. Summerbank actively trained the workforce. The sanayi girişimcisi, the industrial entrepreneurs, the trainers, the workers, the manager.
Yeah, they built the human capacity alongside the physical capacity.
Yeah.
And that echoes what this new Cameroon school aims to do, train students to be able to establish their own businesses. It's that same holistic goal.
Which brings us to, I guess, a final provocative thought for you, our listener. If history suggests that successful, rapid industrialization often needs a powerful, centralized body like Bank, one that can coordinate credit, training, factory construction across different sectors. What's the modern equivalent? What kind of institution is needed today to actually execute these ambitious multi-country goals like the AFCFTA or even national plans like Cameroon's Vision 2035? The data and the strategy seem sound, but maybe, just maybe, designing the institution to drive it is the biggest challenge of all.